A nation and the people on the move, keeping you up to date. Belmopan Weekly.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Belmopan Weekly. I'm Dawn Mitchell. In this evening's program, a major infrastructure project kicks off in the north, $80,000 donation for high school scholarships, Restore Belize and the Ministry of Agriculture team up, and another edition of Prime Minister Reports, plus a few other significant developments. It's finally happening, the paving of the Progresso Road in the northernmost district of Corozal. Signing ceremonies took place on Wednesday of this week for the contract to rehabilitate and pave the 16 miles of road which stretches from Orange Walk Town to the village of Progresso. It will cost $12.6 million Belize dollars and is being funded by the European Union and the government of Belize through the European Union's accompanying measures for sugar program. Present for the signing was presided over by Minister of Works, Honorable Anthony Martinez.
It's a very, very, very important road. I'm extremely excited, I'm extremely happy, and I need to thank the Ministry of Economic Development, the European Union, and the staff at the Ministry of Works, a special unit set up there. And I think that you have done a tremendous job. The citizens are waiting. As the Minister of Works, I am waiting. And I'm so excited that all the calls that the people always call when, and say every time we tell a year when, it's here now. So I want to congratulate everybody, and I wish the contractors well, and I almost sure that we will get a good job based on value for money. Thank you very much.
Also present was Deputy Prime Minister and Orange Walk North Area Representative Honorable Gaspar Vega.
First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the European Union for this AMS 2008 program. I believe that we have done some work already in that area, by the Shonosh and Kapabank area, Little Belize. And as it was with that work, there was a great boost to both the agricultural sector, because as we all know, Little Belize does a whole lot of farming, and these roads will empower them in able to cut down on their costs. We all know that the roads that we used to have there were terrible. That meant a lot of wear and tear on the vehicles. The cost of fuel is so high, and with this type of roads, we will cut down even on the consumption of fuel. It also means that the tourism in that area, we know that Sarteneja is there, Kapabang, Shonosh, Progresso, who owns a beautiful lagoon. Tourism will pick up because of the good roads that we're getting. People are anxious. Today, they will know that it's becoming a reality. And once again, thank the Almighty God for this opportunity, for creating and ensuring that all Belizeans become more prosperous.
Signing on behalf of the contractors, Baya Vista Development Company Limited and Lopez Equipment Limited was Mr. Javier Berbe, and for the European Union, Mr. Cosimo Lamberti Fossati. The project represents Phase 2, Lot B of the Sugar Belt Road Rehabilitation Program. While we're in the north, let's take you back to last week, Tuesday, July 5th, which marked the opening of a new resource center and the launch of a computer training program benefiting in particular the women of the area. Claudia Grouch has the story.
The new resource center located on the grounds of the Civic Center in Corozal is the realization of a firm commitment by the Honorable Pablo Marin, its purpose being to empower women in the Corozal area. This fact was highlighted by Corozal Mayor Gilberto Campos in his speech delivered at the inauguration.
I wish to take this opportunity as Mayor of Corozal to thank the Honorable Pablo Marin for having insisted for the realization of this project so meaningful to our population. We sincerely express our dedication to the progress of this community, and as I welcome one and all to this particular event, I extend also a warm welcome to a new model of governance where we all benefit.
One of the persons to benefit directly from the undertaking is Ms. Julieta Marroquin.
Well, I would like to thank them for the program, because they have a lot of single women right here that could help themselves and help their kids and get a nice job, because in most of the jobs you need to know computer skills.
The Honorable Pablo Marin, Minister of Health and Area Representative for Corozal Bay, reaffirmed his commitment especially to the women benefiting from such an institution.
And as I said before, women are equal to men. So we have to give them a tool, and this is a tool. The computer lab is a tool for them to expand themselves and to do something better. And also, they can teach their kids, because right now everything is computer. So once we can train the parents, they can start teach their kids now at their house.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Claudia Grouch.
The institution is located adjacent to the Corozal Civic Center. At a cost of approximately 70,000 Belize dollars, the project is funded by the Social Investment Fund. In addition to women, it is hoped that children could access the computers in the afternoon after school hours. We'll be right back after these messages.
In opposition, Honorable Dean Barrow promised to stand up for the people of Belize.
Let's hear it for Belize!
Let there, therefore, be absolutely no doubt about this issue. I stand with Belize.
In government, Prime Minister Barrow has kept his promise. He worked with the cane farmers, kept that industry alive, and saved over 6,000 jobs. When Ashcroft was allowed to cream millions off the backs of Belizeans, was allowed to own the 2 telephone companies in Belize, and deprived citizens of real competition, Prime Minister Barrow acquired BTL in the interest of Belizeans and national dignity. When a foreign multi-billion-dollar company threatened blackouts and held Belizeans to ransom, Prime Minister Barrow acted decisively in the interest of Belizeans. The issues may change, but the reason consistently remains the same. Prime Minister Barrow has always acted in the best interest of Belize and Belizeans.
The Ministry of Education this week received $80,000 for a scholarship fund from PricewaterhouseCoopers and the Peace Work to fund scholarships for deserving high school students across Belize City. Fortunato Noble has the following report.
The smiles on the faces of these scholarship recipients reflected the gratitude they felt for the $80,000 donation received by Honorable Patrick Faber from PricewaterhouseCoopers, a global accounting and business development corporation, and Peacework, an international organization that creates and manages global partnerships. Minister Faber expressed his appreciation for the donation.
We are very pleased that you chose Belize to do the kind of work that you have come here to do. And I say of our friends or friends who engage in helping us with the business of educating our people in this country, that the true mark of friendship is what is it you offer in terms of your friendship. And I've always said that a very good measure of that friendship is when a contribution is made, like a contribution in education, that once given cannot be taken away. And it has to be that our main goal is to educate our young Belizeans so that we can indeed have a fruitful future in this country. And that is the main focus of the Ministry of Education and Youth.
In Clearig of PricewaterhouseCoopers is in Belize to make the presentation to the Ministry of Education. She challenged the students to
really reach out and take this opportunity for everything it is. Study hard, continue to excel academically, make us proud. We have confidence in you. We believe you have great potential. Make Belize proud, and we're behind you 100%. So congratulations on your scholarship or your grant, and we're thrilled for you. So
Minister Faber congratulated the scholarship recipients, and he also had this message for them.
And we also extend our warmest congratulations to those recipients and those families. And I say to those recipients, make sure that you do your donors proud. Make sure that you do your parents proud, and make sure that you do Belize proud, because Belize is absolutely depending on you. Thank you, and God's blessings on all of you.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Fortunato Noble.
Pricewaterhouse has been making similar donations since 2008. An important milestone was reached by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Restore Belize as the first productive cycle of the Urban Agriculture Program came to a close with the issuing of certificates to approximately 40 beneficiaries, citizens of Southside Belize City. The event was held on Friday, 8th July 2011. Our press office was there, and Claudia Grouch brings us the following report.
It was a pleasure to be amongst productive citizens of Belize City as we sat at a certificate award ceremony. The awardees being those who completed the first productive cycle of the Urban Agriculture Program at the Comerbach Field in Port Loyola. It took a collaborative effort by the Ministry of Agriculture, Restore Belize, and the citizens of Southside Belize for this program to be a success.
It's actually the Southside Urban Agriculture Program, which originated from the Ministry of Agriculture. And the program is primarily targeted towards 3 objectives. And objective 1 is actually towards food security, while objective 2 is for the actual nutrition. There's a nutritional aspect of it. The third objective is towards subsistence, which you're dealing with selling the provisions that you actually make. And overall, the necessity for food security as it relates to many of the lower income homes, there is a necessity.
The Minister of Agriculture delivered the keynote address and personally handed out certificates of participation to encourage the beneficiaries to continue the good work of urban planting.
In the midst of crime situation facing Belize, you have remained focused in producing healthy food for you and your families. We must all become aware of the fact that food security and nutritional well-being is a collective right. Everyone has the right to obtain high-quality, nutritious food regardless of where you live. With every plant that you grow, you and your families are one step closer to attaining food and nutritional security. Additionally, you are demonstrating to the nation and to the world that food and nutrition security can indeed start at home. You, the beneficiaries, have proven that with dedication and support, anything is possible.
We also had the opportunity to speak with a resident of the area and beneficiary of the program.
My name is Violet Barnett, and some people know me by the name of Sister Fahima. I was introduced to this program by Mr. Greg Nunes from the Restore Belize. I was one of the first person they had signed up, and we had planted tomatoes, lettuce, cabbage, bell pepper, habanero pepper, okras, beets, cilantro. I think that covered it. We were able to put it on the septic tank, and we run the wires for the cucumbers. And I already had some plants in the yard, so it was relatively easy to find a shaded area because some of the plants wither quick under the heat of the sun. It benefited me and my neighbors because I were able to share some of the crops with my neighbors. It helped me because I'm a vegetarian, so I didn't really have to be buying tomatoes and the other stuff that I mentioned.
And this program was not just for planting food for the nutritional value, it was also planting food for the soul, as Ms. Barnett explained.
I would like to encourage more people on the south side to get involved, especially the mothers who are suffering from loss of their children that got shot or brutally killed. Planting for me is a form of therapy, and you are able to be out in the open, and so that I think that would really help people to take their mind off their problem.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Claudia Grouch.
If you would like to be a part of the program, you can do so by getting more information from the coordinator of the Urban Agriculture Program, Ms. Ina Sanchez, or Mr. Greg Nunes, Program Officer for Restore Belize. When we return, another edition of Prime Minister Reports, in which the Prime Minister updates us on the situation surrounding Belize Electricity Limited, which was recently acquired by the government in the national interest.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life, as you know it, is completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at www.nemo.org.bz.
Transfer of electors is conducted during the period July to August of each year. In accordance with Section 59(1) of the Representation of the People Act, Chapter 9, where a registered person changes his place of residence from one division to another, he shall, after he has resided for a minimum period of 2 months at his new address, give written notice thereof in Form 17 of the 5th Schedule to the registering officer of the division in which he now resides. Therefore, electors who have changed address from one electoral division to another are urged to visit the Elections and Boundaries Department office in their new division to place an application for transfer. To facilitate the process, we encourage you to bring along a picture ID, such as a voter's identification card, a Belizean passport, social security card, or a driver's license. For more information on the transfer process, visit any of our Elections and Boundaries Department offices or log on to our website at www.elections.gov.bz. The Elections and Boundaries Department takes this opportunity to invite those persons who have reached the age of 18 and others who are not yet registered and are eligible to come into the Elections and Boundaries Department office in their respective area and apply to be registered.
Welcome back. And now we bring you the latest edition of Prime Minister Reports.
Welcome to the Prime Minister Reports, brought to you by the Belize Tourism Board and Belize Natural Energy. This evening, the Prime Minister will be giving a full report on the BEL situation and nationalization. Stay tuned.
I thought this week that we would use our little chat to say something about BL. It's of course very much in the news, and while when government passed the law on Monday the 20th of June, I believe it was, I attempted to lay out in full detail the case for the nationalization of BL. I thought in this more informal manner, I would try to say a little bit more about why government did what it had to do. Now, the simple, honest, plain truth is government had no choice because BL had made clear that it was not in a position any longer to continue to pay for power. In other words, if government didn't act, we were facing a situation in which we would not have been able to assure the citizens of this country of a stable supply of electricity. In other words, blackouts. That's the one-word description of the emergency of the crisis that confronted us and obliged us to act. The thing is that BL made clear it didn't have the money to pay for the power that it transmits to the country. Remember that BL doesn't generate its own electricity. It buys the electricity from three sources, from Mexico, from the hydro sources in country, and from Belcogen, the facility at Tower Hill that turns bagasse into electricity. BL, and nobody yet understands how it is that BL reached that position, but BL made clear, and had been making clear for some time, that it was in effect insolvent. It had no money to pay for power. Government had to keep finding the money to give to BL to pay for the power, because government wanted to avert and avoid the blackout situation. But it had reached a point when we acted where government simply was not going to be able any longer to find money to give to BL when we had no control over BL's affairs, and when it would mean that we would not be in a position to ensure that the company would come out of the crisis, even in the intermediate term, even in the medium term. Government simply could not continue to give money to BL in those circumstances. And so, because it is the duty of a government at all times to protect its citizens, to protect the nation, and because to have plunged this country into a situation of continuing blackouts would have done disaster, would have been catastrophic in terms of our economic life, in terms of our social life, in terms of the overriding interests of the country. Government had to do what it did. What's important now, though, is that I met with the workers, the executive of the union representing the BL workers last Friday, and I was reassured it was a useful, productive meeting. These are Belizeans that are absolutely confident that they can run the company successfully, and I want to say to the rest of the citizens of this country, because we've got now a BL workforce that is confident, that is newly empowered, that is happy with the takeover, because we've got a board of directors, again, that is completely Belizean, because we've got a new CEO who has a splendid managerial track record. I am asking everybody to get on board, to recognize that all of us will need to support this new BL, or this new incarnation of BL as a nationally owned company that must be run now in the interests of all Belizeans. The confidence that I have is a confidence that I know you will share, and it is a confidence that you are going to see very, very shortly that will be entirely vindicated. Normally, we divide this chat into two segments and we deal with two different topics, but I want to stay on BL, so I confess right away that it's going to take up the whole of the show. And in continuing on this topic, let me make the point that some of those who admit that we did the right thing and we did what we had to do still say, but you may have moved too quickly. Well, I want to recollect for people that by the time the notice went out of the special House meeting, of the special National Assembly sitting, the top management of BL had already walked out. It now turns out that the ex-CEO paid himself and the other, I think, 4 persons or so in executive management a total of $2 million, or in excess of $2 million. They did that and walked away, so that the company, which they had already proclaimed to be broke, was broke and rudderless after, although they had said money couldn't be found to pay the bills for power, after they were able to pay themselves in excess of $2 million. So there's no doubt in my mind that we moved exactly when we ought to have moved. But I want to deal also with this other criticism that's been made, the suggestion that nationalizing BL, nationalizing telemedia, any nationalization by a government in a democracy, in fact, is dictatorial and inconsistent with that democracy? Well, that is really, I make no apologies for putting it as bluntly as this, completely nonsensical. All civilized democracies reserve the right to acquire private property whenever it is in the public interest. Now, you don't try to, on a whim and fancy, say that a nationalization is required in the public interest. It has to be genuinely required in the public interest. And of course, if you do a nationalization in those circumstances, you need to pay compensation. But the point is that it is not just a legitimate tool, it is a necessary tool of Western-style democracies. Look at what's happened in the UK and in the US during the recent global crisis. In the UK, commercial banks that were failing or that had failed were nationalized by the British government in order to protect depositors and to protect the public. In the United States, mortgage finance companies were acquired by the government, again, to protect the public. In fact, the car makers were temporarily nationalized. That is, the government assumed majority control of those car makers until they could get back in a position of solvency and health, and then the U.S. government began to sell off the shares or return the shares that it had taken control of. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Belizeans, that this is proof positive that any government, any democratic government, any government that is responsible to its electorate will, whenever the national interests so require, proceed with a nationalization that will allow it to do its duty to the public, to the electorate, to the citizenry. I want to end by making the point again that while there is every confidence that with Belizeans completely in control, with Belizeans at the helm, we can make this thing work, it will require widespread public support. So I am concluding with an appeal to those in the private sector that continue to burn fire on the nationalization. Please, don't be so narrow. Don't continue to do a disservice to this country and to Belizean pride and to the justice and the rightness of what has happened. Because while I repeat that I have every confidence we can make this thing work, we do want the collaboration, the cooperation of the private sector in this effort, in this necessary effort to make it work. So I know that it's been said that I was scolding of the private sector, and if I was, I'm certainly going to apologize. I was, I know, very upset at what I thought was this blinkered view. The thing is, though, that the nationalization has happened. We've got to make it work in the interests of all Belizeans, and it will take the support and cooperation of the private sector to get it done. So I reach out, I offer the olive branch, and I invite the private sector to get on board with something that is in the interest of all Belizeans. Thank you.
And that's it for this edition of Belmopan Weekly. I am Dawn Mitchell. Thanks for viewing, and we look forward to having you once again next week. Good night.